For now, though, let's switch gears and turn to some spring cleaning. It's that time of year. The weather's getting warmer, and a lot of us are trying to get rid of the junk in our life. But it can be overwhelming. And how do we make it last all year long? For that, we turn to Alice Wang, professor of marketing at the University of Iowa and co-author of a few brand new decluttering studies. Alice, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to start off with how normal this is. Is it normal for people to get overwhelmed by trying to declutter?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. It is absolutely normal for people to feel this is a daunting task. And that's why, there are researchers like us to try to help.
So in the latest study that just came out, you have a lot of points about abstract thinking. What is this?
Sure. People naturally think about things in different at different levels. Some people are naturally seeing more big pictures, and some people are more likely to see concrete details. So in a metaphor, we would say that some people tend to see the forest and others tend to see the trees. So what we found in that research is when people tend to be abstract thinkers, I think more about the category, then I am more likely to let go of a product because it doesn't seem that unique, right? So if I'm looking at a t-shirt, I'm more likely to think, this is just one of my t-shirts. How many t-shirts do I have? 25. So I'm more likely to let it go. However, the concrete thinkers, when they look at a t-shirt, they'll say, oh, this pattern is so unique and this sleeve length is so different. And the more they look at the concrete uniqueness, the less likely they're going to get rid of it.
Okay, I fear I may be one of those concrete thinkers because that's exactly what I'm thinking when I'm cleaning out my closet or trying to declutter. What are some tips you have for trying to reframe your thinking toward a more abstract thought?
Sure, sure. Actually, in research has shown that this is a dimension that can be temporarily changed. So we can encourage people instead of asking them to think about a concrete item, you can think about go into the closet and look at all your t-shirts and take one. So that's for example, one way to get people to think more about the category. And we have other ways of priming people. There are established ways of changing their mindset into more abstract thinking, especially like in an ad. We can have a picture that shows more of a forest than a tree. That can change their mindset as well.
Does this kind of tie in with something else you talked about when it comes to zooming out when you declutter? What is that?
Yeah. So when you zoom out, you tend to see I have all these t-shirts that are all similar. So then it's easier for you to let go of some of them.
I see.
Whereas when you zoom in, you look at each of them, of course they're unique. You bought them on different occasions and they meant different things to you. And I have another piece of research which is on how people feel lonely and how that affects disposition. So that one, what we found is when people are lonelier, they're more attached to their possessions, and hence less likely to let go.
How do you study something like that? How do you connect loneliness to holding on to things?
Sure, sure. Actually have studied loneliness for by now 15, 20 years. So it is a interesting phenomena. A lot of people in the society feel lonely. Probably not a lot of people chronically, but temporarily. When we move, when we go to a new location, we might temporarily feel lonely. And then a lot of my other research talks studies what happens when people feel lonely. How does that change our decision making system? And here in this particular research, we look at how feeling lonely change our disposition tendencies.
Okay, so let's say that we take your tips and we do a lot of decluttering this spring. How do you make it last throughout summer, fall, winter, and into next year?
Well, that's another question theoretically. That's more about acquisition, right? So I think when we talk about disposition is how do I get things out of my pile. But if people keep buying, that's probably more related to my other research about when do people buy more than what they need. And that's a separate issue. And again, that particular research I have is if we can address people's psychological needs, then they're probably less likely to get into impulsive buying, right? So impulsive buying is defined as I didn't mean to buy anything going into the store. However, I came home with things. So that's impulsive purchase.
Alice, I really appreciate your time today, and these are some great tips to carry with us this spring and far beyond. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And if you guys at home want to check out our online version of this story or share it, you can find it at WQAD.com underneath the As Seen on TV tab at the top of the homepage.